Okay, got to turn the camera on. I do have plenty of fluid coming to that right there. It spurted out quite nicely. Let me see if I can get something to the injectors. Leave the front one loose. Switch in. Some moisture. I don't see any other leaks. Tight. This in. There. We have a set of cables. Definitely getting that battery cable warm. This negative cable could probably use a break. Let's see if I can get fluid to this first injector. Okay, so you can see, started to get some fuel out of that first injector. That's a lot of cranking time. Starter is not really that warm. Negative battery lead is pretty warm. The positive one isn't too bad. The negative one's kind of corroded, so it's not that good of a cable. Let's see if this metal injector's got anything in it. Crap. The jumper cable just came apart. For the time being, just going to use the cable and the clamp and clamp it that way. Thought she started to slow down a little bit. If I can get zoomed in on that injector there. Okay, as you can hear, she's slowing down. I'm gonna put it on the charger. I did get fuel up to that second injector. And we'll probably charge and go from there. So while I'm letting these two charge, I'll just show you. I'm trying to use this 1725. It's got a little battery in it. It's got a new battery in it though. Jumper cable's over to this, and I've got the battery charger sitting, and it's just a little small trickle charger, which it's pulling about 7-8 amps right now. This battery looks new. It's probably 3 years old, maybe 4 years old. It came out of the Mustang, which has been sitting here for at least 2 years. Maybe going on 3. And so it hasn't been used hardly at all. So this battery is a little weak to begin with. And then it's not really sized for this application. So this is the battery that came out of it. We tried to charge it. It just wouldn't charge up. So it's just a big, huge paperweight. So once we get it running, we'll probably go get the proper battery. Put this will probably go in the dump truck because its battery's been a little weak lately. So I'll probably throw this one in the dump truck, maybe get rid of the dump truck battery. But just wanted to show you what we're doing and why we're doing it with these smaller batteries. Right now, that's all I got. This is the point I should be claiming success, that I rebuilt the pump and the tractor runs great, but that didn't happen. As you can see, it definitely has bled some fuel up here. I never could really spin it enough with the battery to get a good fuel flow up here, and that was probably my number one sign. And I smoked a battery terminal, something good. I've never actually seen a terminal melt that bad, but I managed to do it. So I had spun on it for a while with the jumper cables on it. This terminal looks fine here. So I gave up on that idea. Had the wife get on the little 1725 and put it to work dragging this thing around the block. So because it was wanting to drag the tires in the gravel in the driveway, so we drug it around the block. I even leaned up over the tank as she was dragging me, and I popped these lines loose, and they would spit a little bit, but really they'd spit for a second and then they'd kind of quit. It just never really was spitting a lot of fluid out, just minor. It would spit a little bit, throw some air, tighten it back up. It kind of acted like it was trying to fire off very slightly, real weak like. It never really was puffing a lot of smoke out the stack or anything. So I think the pump there must be something in that main pump section that generates the high pressure that's froze up or something. So I'm gonna have to pull it back apart as much as I hate to. So that's the update. I'm gonna get to tearing it apart, and I'll update you here shortly. So, okay, these little pumping plungers right here were froze up in that bore right there. So I basically just took this long 1/4 inch extension and just the end of my wrench there, and I just tapped them down real easy. It's got a good broad nose on it, so I knew I wasn't going to damage them. So in the end, that's going to be the problem, I think. You can see it was riding a little bit, but they were pretty tough to get out of there, so I think that's why it wasn't pumping. It just wasn't spreading back out very good. So I'll keep going and see what else I find. So one other thing, you can tell which side. This is the side that is to the fuel on the inside of the pump. This side is to the outside. You see it's a lot shinier where it rides against this roller right here. So you got a shiny side. I had heard these were tapered maybe, and you can even probably tell by the wear mark on it as well, but you can definitely tell by this wear mark that that's sort of a dull. This is a real shiny surface, so it's not too hard when putting these used ones back together to tell which way goes which. I do believe this was the problem, because now that I've got them, you can just see that's where I rolled the roller with the paper towel. Just right there. I mean, that's the grungy old diesel that came off this thing and really had them stuck in there. So I think once I get this, I squirt a little lube in there, fixing to put it back together and put it on the tractor and see how it does. So if you're wondering how you regulate the flow, or I guess the volume of fuel that's going to the injectors, those plungers inside are pushed by this little curved piece right here. Let me get a pointer. By this little piece right here. So as you spin this plate, that's basically wide open. So you can see that plunger can go out that far. But as you rotate this plate, it limits the travel, so the plunger can't go out as far this way or this way, so it limits the amount of fuel between the two plungers. So if you want maximum fuel volume going to the injectors, you rotate the plate that way. Minimum, you rotate that way. So now you got to know where you put them. So I scribed the side of the plate. This plate here has got a bunch of letters on it, and one of the letters lined up with the leg of this. There's a number stamped on the bottom of this, and the A lined up directly with the leg of the 7. And then I scribed a mark there, and on the other side, E, the mark of E, I made another mark just so I couldn't get it turned around, possibly, just to make sure. So it looks like this pump was pretty well opened up anyway, just about all the way. So I'm gonna make sure I put it back at pretty well maximum flow, or close to, actually. That's the other thing too, you can actually tell exactly where it was based on the discoloration. So excuse me, I had to get out of the view there. So you can see that would be maximum fuel volume right there. That's where it was, right there, pretty well in the middle. So that makes it pretty easy to put back together too if you didn't mark things and you've got an older pump that isn't real clean. But I'm gonna put her back together this way. The kill switch hooked up to it yet either, or the kill cable. And the alternator is locked up, so I had the battery or the belt just completely loose. So it took me a long time to get her to finally start. A little bit of ether and the truck battery cables there were enough. Let's see if she'll fire back off on her own. That's all the way forward. Oh yeah. Good stuff. Like a charm. Okay, so what it was those plungers inside the pump itself that had really locked up with gum from that old diesel. And then I can attest what everybody says, these things are hard to purge. Finally got it, it was shooting good fuel, it was smoking, you could tell it was lightly hitting, I just never could get it to pop off until I finally hit the ether to it, and it popped off. I replaced this battery terminal. I cut back some of the wire, cleaned up the corrosion. This thing is really super corroded right here though. But amazingly, it is not warm at all. It has a good connection. You can tell bad connections by heat, as that melted battery cable in the other video shows. So even this one doesn't look that good, but I mean, it is cool to the touch. I've been working the starter hard. The starter's warm, real warm. But these big heavy-duty starters can take that kind of abuse. So the key now will be to see if I can get the clutch freed up. But we'll get all this stuff out of the way, and I'll probably come back in a little while, make sure she starts again, and put some water in it. And maybe just run it with the alternator loose for a little bit. It's still turning the fan, but we'll see. I gotta get that alternator pulled off, get it taken to be rebuilt. Hope you enjoyed the video.